Hi everyone, welcome to this week's video chat. This is in conjunction with our summer curriculum that we came out all about where food comes from, which is basically is a bunch of activities that you can do. If you're watching this video and you haven't seen the curriculum, DM us on Instagram and we will get that sent to you. But these are basically just weekly meetings. There's going to be 6 of them that'll kind of walk through a technique as far as teaching or some tips on how you can implement the curriculum. And then it's an opportunity for you to ask questions. And then they'll also be uploaded and put onto our YouTube channel and our blog, so you can watch them afterwards if you weren't able to get on. But we'll go ahead and let Megan get started with the teaching technique for this week, and that is open-ended questions.
Okay, perfect. So I'm going to start out saying, what is an open-ended question? And it's really as simple as it seems. It's just a question that doesn't have a yes or no answer. So anything like that's longer than that or just different than that is open-ended. So there's a couple of different types of open-ended questions, and they're categorized by what you're trying to, like what the answer has to do with. So they are either trying to get you to remember something, understand something, apply something, analyze something, evaluate something, or create something. So I'm going to go back over those really quick. So questions that have to do with remembering are things like identifying questions, naming, counting, repeating, recalling. For example, what did you notice about those trucks? Understanding questions, describe, discuss, explain, and summarize something. For example, tell me about this. What do levers do? What did you notice? Applying questions explain why, they dramatize, identify with, and relate to. For example, look at the bags on the bottom of this page. They say mortar mix. I wonder what mortar mix is. Analyzing questions, recognize change, experiment, infer, compare, and contrast. For example, what were you thinking about when you were gluing? And what are your predictions of what will happen next in the story? Evaluating questions, express opinions, judge, and defend or criticizing. Sorry, let me restate that. They express opinion, judgment, and they either defend or criticize. Like, for example, what else is really special about your family? Create, those questions are about making, constructing, designing, authoring. Like, what are you putting in it? What are the ingredients? So all of these questions they don't have a right or wrong answer necessarily, but they are longer than yes or no. And they get your child thinking about things on a deeper level than just what a closed-end question would be, like a yes or no. Like, for example, was that truck red or blue? So that's like very close-end, just gets to one point. Or you could say, what did you notice about that truck? And maybe they noticed the tires. Maybe they noticed that they were muddy. Maybe they noticed what color they were. It helps expand what they're learning about. Okay, so that leads right into why use open-ended questions. Number one, it encourages language development. Rather than always saying yes or no, or just one of the words you offer, they need to come up with their own words and answers to the questions, because they're having those thoughts in their head. They just need to learn how to vocalize them. Open-ended questions encourage your child to think beyond the obvious. Again, with the truck example, rather than just looking at color, they can look deeper at other things in their world around them. Open-ended questions encourage your child to think of many different possibilities. Again, that's because it's not yes or no. Really, the options are endless for what the answer could be. It also encourages your child to look at something from multiple angles, because children definitely can only see things through their eyes. And so this asking open-ended questions helps them to be able to see things from other people's perspectives. Which is a skill that they're going to be continually learning. Honestly, I think your whole life it's really hard to master. Open-ended questions increase understanding, and they allow your child to convey more information, more thoughts, and more feelings. This kind of goes like, you'd ask, are you happy or sad? And they might say one or the other, but really what they're feeling is maybe frustrated or excited. And so by asking, how are you feeling, rather than are you happy or sad, this can help your child really think about what they're feeling and learn how to vocalize that. Open-ended questions require children to recall past events, which strengthens their memory recall skills because you don't give them the options. It's not a multiple choice question. They need to really think about what happened when you're asking about something after the fact. Open-ended questions encourage your child to be creative. And this is something that if you are asking questions that maybe like aren't just for like the day-to-day, like going through things, just for the sake of asking questions, you'd be like, how would you have a car look if you had a car? Or if you could write a book, what would it be about? Or what would be the best day ever? This helps your child think their creative brain on and thinking about different things. Open-ended questions encourage your child to put words to their thoughts and actions. This is a huge skill that children are learning in early childhood. They have all these feelings, all this stuff going on that they're experiencing, but to try and put it into words so that you can have a common understanding is a huge milestone. And so by asking these open-ended questions, it helps them start to learn that skill and practice that skill, because that's really how you learn it, is by practicing and practicing and practicing. Okay, open-ended questions encourage problem solving, especially when your child has a problem, rather than asking or like telling them how to fix it, or again, asking a closed-end question. An open-ended question can get your child thinking of all the options to solve the problem. And sometimes there's solutions that maybe you wouldn't even think about, and they might work even better for your child. And open-ended questions build relationships between you and your child. Your child feels seen and trusted. They feel that what they have to say and what they think matters, and that they aren't confined to what your reality is. So some examples of open-ended questions would be, I'll just ask them just like questions and we'll just go down kind of the list. Can you describe what happened? Can you think of a new way to do it? Tell me about, insert, fill in the blank. How could we make it work? How are they alike? How are they different? How did that happen? How did you know that? How did you work it out? Tell me about what you saw. What did you see happening? What did you notice about, fill in the blank? What do you think will happen next? What makes it work? What did you learn? All of these questions really get your child thinking and learning deeply about whatever it is that's happening, because I think sometimes we take for granted that every single experience that your child is having is completely novel. They haven't experienced it. They don't know about it. So even the simplest of things is something that they're learning about. And these open-ended questions can really help you see it through their eyes, what they're learning about. So when you ask, let's say you're cooking breakfast together and you say, what did you notice about this recipe? Thinking that they would notice that the ingredients mixed together make something. Maybe they'll just say, this cup was bigger than this cup. And you'll notice, oh, they're actually learning about how things are different sizes, when maybe that wasn't even on your radar because it's so common knowledge that 1 cup is bigger than a half cup. So a couple of points to note when working with open-ended questions. Number 1, open-ended questions take time to think of an answer. Be patient as your child thinks. Let them think for a minute. Don't jump right in and answer, even though it is so hard to wait. And wait for them to say their whole answer. Sometimes they say the first part and then there's like a pause and we jump right in, or we say, but wait for them to say their whole answer. Don't interrupt them. Don't finish their sentences. Just listen and wait. Show interest in their answer. If you help them feel good about their answer, help them know that what they're saying is good, that they're not getting pass or fail, like graded on their answer, that really you just care about what they have to say, that will open up more opportunities for learning. And then ask multiple open-ended questions back to back to keep the conversation going. For example, you say, what did you notice about this? They say what they noticed. And you say, why was that interesting to you? Then they say why that was interesting to you, et cetera, et cetera. You get the idea. Keep asking them, because when you ask an open-ended question, they answer and you just come back with a one-word answer, close-end question. It kind of shuts down the conversation. But multiple open-ended questions back to back can really get these feedback loops where you guys can build a relationship and really deeply learn. So that's kind of open-ended questions in a nutshell for you. They're one of the most powerful teaching tools, and anyone can do it at any time.
So now that we've talked about kind of what the tool is and how you do it, I want to talk for just a second about how you actually use it in the curriculum. You'll notice as you're scrolling through that we have lots of places where we've actually put in ideas of open-ended questions that you could ask that match up with activities. And so that's one way that's super helpful, but those are just suggestions. So you can ask any other questions that come to mind, like Megan was saying, keep the conversation going along with the activity. Do you have anything else you want to say about how to use it within this curriculum specifically?
Sure, I'll just do one example of one activity. I'm going to take the making butter activity, which you just put some cream in a thing and shake it, right? In a jar. Super simple, but the questions that you could be asking are, what do you notice about this cream as it's pouring out? And check it as it's going and say, I wonder why it's changing. When you're done, be like, what does this taste like? And even before you start, you say, what do you think will happen when we shake this? And maybe they'll be like, I think it will turn into ice cream or nothing or whatever. And then you can test out your experiment. This is learning about the scientific method. And then another thing you can say, what could we eat this with? I have some suggestions like pretzels or saltines or putting it on toast, but maybe your child will have another idea. Let them try out their ideas. Let them experiment with their ideas and keep asking questions. And any comment they make, if they make a comment like, I wonder why it's white, then talk about that. Say, I do wonder, do you have any ideas? What's your prediction? And go play off any comments or observations that they make.
Yeah, so that's really kind of what the whole point of these weekly meetings is to give you kind of a tool that you can use as you're going through the curriculum. I don't know that we have any questions this week, so this one will probably be a shorter one unless we have any questions from our one participant who I think may have left. Are you still there? Do you have any questions you want to ask or things that you think people may be wondering?
No, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. It's just hard to do because we're used to asking questions in a yes, no answer kind of a way. It's easier to do it that way. So, but I think you just have to get curious about your kids' curiosity. And instead of trying to get them to have a certain answer, trying to be curious to see what would their answer be if no one told them what the answer is, So anyway, it is super hard for me to ask open-ended questions with my kids. It always has been. So I think this is good to remember.
I love that point. That's exactly right. And I just think that it's something that comes with practice and habit, just like anything else that you're having to learn. Setting aside time to make yourself learn it and make yourself practice it until it can become a habit. And then I want to say one other thing. This is probably my favorite open-ended question, and it's something that I picked up in school, and it is just say, Whenever, if your child makes an observation, a wondering, because often children do this, where they like ask something kind of, where they're expecting you to say an answer, but instead of answering, to say, as a cue to say, like, help them think about it, right? It's a super easy thing to do. You don't have to think of any words. You don't have to try and spin it how you want. You just say, and then let them keep going on that train of thought.
Yeah, that's a good one. Well, we'll go ahead and wrap up unless anyone has any other comments. But if you are watching this after the fact, if you have any questions, feel free to either DM us on Instagram or comment below. Either format that you're watching this on probably has a comment section either on YouTube or the blogs, and we'll try to answer those questions. Also, if you have questions that you'd like answered in upcoming videos that you can't make it to, feel free to DM and let us know those. But these will be going up once a week for the next 6 weeks about this curriculum. So we hope that this is a helpful tool that you guys can use, and we'll see you next week.